Welcome, y'all. Welcome back of the Griot of the Diaspora. I'm your host, Nakira G. Hopefully, you've seen my other videos and you've seen the different interviews that I've done, and I've done some other solo episodes. My last episode was about pros and cons living in Ghana, and I might do a part two to that. I don't know. I just feel like I got different questions, so I might do a part two to that. I don't know. But this is a Griot Pop episode. So I'm going to go over just a couple of current events that happened in pop culture, but just very specific ones. I feel like there's so much going on that I don't really want to talk about and I don't really care too much about. But there are some things I did want to talk about. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is Jada's book review. I don't know if you guys have read it or listened to the audiobook, but I have already listened to the whole thing. I did an audiobook on Kindle, and I listened to it while I was on the plane to New York, and then when I was on the plane again from New York to Ghana, because I am back in Ghana, as you can see. And so I listened to the entire audiobook. I took notes, I noted which chapters I really wanted to talk about, and it's really only two specific chapters that I really wanted to get into and kind of just like talk about the whole thing and then kind of like get over it, because I feel like it's turned into a whole situation. Also, if you're not following me on Instagram, make sure you follow me at The Naked Gold Online. And also make sure you visit my website, www.nakedgoldonline.com. Okay, so I want to talk about Jada's book. So obviously everybody was interested in the book because she talks about Tupac, and they thought that she was going to talk about her affair or her exchange and entanglement with August Alsina. But she didn't really talk about August Alsina, and she didn't actually really talk about that incident. Instead, she more so just addressed the Red Table Talk episode. And she kind of just cleared her name and cleared what all of the blogs and Black Twitter was talking about, but we'll get into that. So, chapter 1 for me was very interesting because Jada talked about her childhood, which I think is very interesting. I like Jada. I've always liked Jada. Me personally, the stuff that's going on with her marriage is like not enough for me to like not like someone as a talent. I think that's just kind of weird, but whatever. The first chapter was really interesting to me because Jada talked about her childhood, obviously growing up with her mother and those different issues. But there was a very specific sentiment that Jada talked about that I think doesn't get really talked about enough in Black womanhood circles, in these sister circles or whatever the case may be. And so Jada talked about how she developed the urge to dress more tomboy very early. And I think that that's really interesting because a lot of Black women can really relate to that. I know that I can. And Jada talked about how she had very uncomfortable experiences with men at a very young age, specifically men in the neighborhood, men. She talks about an incident where she was walking by a car and there was a man in the car and he was like masturbating, and so she just had different experiences with men in the neighborhood and around that made her feel like, you know, she had to hide her beauty, or she had to hide what she looked like, or she had to hide her body and things like that. And even though she kind of really brushed past it, I could tell that her even just bringing it up was because it was a very pivotal moment in her life. She also talks about, like, when she does her press tours, she also mentions how difficult it was to choose certain topics and for the book. And she talks about how the topics that she did choose, they're supposed to go along with the theme of her believing she was worthy. And so when I attached the concept of worthiness with this black woman experience, this Black girlhood or whatever experience, Black femininity specifically, because femininity can be possessed amongst any gender. I think that it says something, there's something to be said about Black femininity and the need to protect that at such young ages, and not having the ability to be a Black girl and a Black young child, and to just exist without the male gaze at every turn. And I just think that that's such a very important thing, because I know for me, I dressed like a tomboy very early as elementary school, as early as third grade, really. And I know that a lot of other women did as well. And it didn't really take away from whether we were attracted to men or not. I just noticed how unfair and how common it is, and even generationally, because Jada's like 20 plus years older than me, you know, and for a woman to have had that experience 20 years my senior, I just think that says a lot about what has and what hasn't changed. And so I just thought that was a really interesting concept, and I just wish it was talked about more, especially in these circles when we're talking about gender and identity and sexuality and all of these conversations about, you know, families and abusers and families. I just wish that concept of how many young girls had to literally transform their appearances for safety, and how many of us have to do that on a daily basis, even well into our 30s, but how young that starts. I just think that that's a really valuable conversation. But moving along, so chapter 5 was also a very interesting chapter, because it's the beginning of where Jada starts to talk about Tupac and meeting him in Baltimore and the schools that they were going to and the different exchanges that they had. What I thought was really interesting is that at no point when I've heard Jada talk about Tupac, I never really thought that it sounded sexual. I never really felt like the experience that she ever talked about, even 5 years ago, and let alone present times, I just never really saw that for them. And even when we all watched A Different World and the different projects that they were in that were adjacent to each other when Tupac was alive, it still just never gave that. I feel like it always gave friend. But what I wanted to talk about with chapter 5, when I was listening to the audiobook, I couldn't help but think about how kind of disturbing it is that the concept of platonic male and female relationships in the Black community is not held at such a high regard, and how many men act like women are dumb for thinking that men genuinely just want to be our friends. I think that is such a kind of scary acceptance, because it's I've had so many platonic friends, whether they were attractive or not. And regardless of if they are attracted to me, I don't think that everyone that you're attracted to, you have to necessarily have some type of sexual or intimate or very close type of relationship. And I think that when Jada talks about her and Tupac in depth, when she talks about different scenarios that they've both been in where they kind of changed and saved each other's lives, I think it's really difficult for me to even assume that they had this very intimate type of friendship. To be honest, it's the way that she describes it, it sounds like their relationship was kind of not, I don't want to use the word violent, but more so just, it was very volatile, and it seemed like, there were moments, in my opinion, there were moments between Jada and Tupac where I feel like if what she was saying was true, he crossed the line, and there were multiple times that they probably should not have continued to be friends or continued the conversation or what have you. And just connecting that obviously to this whole concept of her and Will not getting a divorce and not believing in divorce and wanting to stick with each other throughout whatever they go through. I think that that's really important to kind of connect that Jada also has had a lot of friendships in her life where maybe she stayed too long or she allowed certain things to happen despite having the freedom and having the ability to walk away. So now I want to move on, and I might do some other chapters in Jada's book, I don't know, but that's really my final thoughts on the book. The book, to me, the book was good. I was interested in it because I like Jada. I think that she shouldn't have gone on as many press tours as she did. I don't know if a lot of those press tours were also monetized or sponsored in some type of way. I don't know, but I don't think that she should have gone on as many interviews as she did. I don't know if she was trying to substitute that because in fear of people not buying the book, then at least people tuned in. I don't know. I don't know. I just feel like after reading the book and then seeing what was going on social media, obviously what was going on social media was a little bit more interesting for people. So I don't know. I just think that she shouldn't have told that much in the interviews. But the interviews were also very interesting and very good. I do just want to say that Jada looks amazing. And I'm gonna just leave it at that. But I'm just gonna say here publicly that Jada looks amazing. And Steven Jackson is really insane for asking her for a picture of her, Nia Long, and Halle Berry in one photo and saying that to her face. You're a wild boy. That shit was funny because me too. But anyway, let's move along. So, okay, I want to talk about Keith Lee. But I don't necessarily want to talk about Keith Lee. I actually want to talk about Black businesses, okay? If you already know, maybe last week or a couple weeks ago, Keith Lee visited Atlanta, and he's a TikToker that does food reviews, and he helps Black businesses get more attention, and he does his critiques, and he talks about his experiences there as a regular customer. And so he went to Atlanta. I guess he's on a tour of going to different states and trying all these different places that are considered popular. And he went to Atlanta and he went to different places. He went to Candy Burris' restaurant, and he went to the Real Milk and Honey, and he went to a few others, and apparently he had really bad customer service, right? Okay, so the customer service issue revolved around the way that these restaurants treat VIP clients, celebrities, influencers, and that whole thing. And so basically Keith Lee, in his reviews, he basically brought up that there was a lot of mistreatment of his family when the people at the restaurants didn't know that that was his family. And apparently there were restaurants that were not even open or not seating people, and then they said, oh, we could seat you immediately when they found out it was Keith Lee, things like that. And that's neither here nor there. I don't spend a lot of time in Atlanta. I can't really speak on the experience in Atlanta. Obviously, on social media, people are basically saying that that's how Atlanta is now, and that now with the whole Black Hollywood thing, and now that there's so many celebrity restaurants, you know, Rashida has a restaurant, Candy has a restaurant, Candy has about 2 or 3, and so I guess there's now this culture. 2 Chainz has a restaurant. You know, so many people in the music and entertainment industry have businesses out there, and apparently people are upset at the celebrity treatment and not feeling like it is available for the locals.
I am Nail Egyptian, and I'm the owner of the Nail Egyptian Press-On Collection, and I'm originally from Compton, California. I started doing nails in high school, but I started doing press-on nails when I traveled to Ghana for the first time in 2013, which inspired me to make the Nail Egyptian Press-On Collection. The style and design behind every nail set is inspired by the queens and goddesses of ancient Africa. I love when my customers tell me they feel inspired and empowered when they wear the nails, and it makes me feel happy that I'm able to connect with people in my community and make them feel beautiful. Visit my website at nakedgoldonline.com.
But like I was saying, my thing with the whole Keith Lee thing and the black business thing, I'm not really interested in the Keith Lee situation per se, but I do want to talk about the whole concept of celebrity black businesses and or businesses that cater to celebrities, right? I'm originally from Compton, so I'm originally from LA, and so I think for me, I grew up in an environment because Hollywood is obviously in California. It's like I grew up knowing that there were certain restaurants that were famous, but they were famous for its history and the culture and how long it's been there, and you know, and sometimes because of who owns it or who's affiliated with it, like what celebrity promoted it 20 years ago type of thing. But I think now that Atlanta is considered the Black Hollywood, and not just Atlanta, I think all these other places like Houston, Miami, you know, New York, I think all of these places cater to celebrities in some shape, way, or form. And realistically, it's like, I mean, they would have to, because they're the ones that are spending money. You know, I don't know what the big problem was, why people were upset that Keith Lee made comments the way that he did, because I mean, businesses cater to people that are rich and people that are gonna come in and spend thousands of dollars, versus you can seat one celebrity and their entourage of 20 people for 4 hours, and you could make the money that you needed to make for 2 or 3 days, versus, you know, the norm of just working a regular day. And so for some restaurants, I don't know, like, you know, I think that there's so many different pieces to it though. I think that there's so many issues in black businesses in general, right? And it's not to say that black businesses are bad. Black businesses are actually really good, and people actually really enjoy them, and they're very cultural, and they're actual staples in our communities when we actually have them. But I think that there are a lot of common issues that could easily be fixed, as well as there are things in our cultures that need to shift a little bit. Because one of the things that I noticed, for instance, when it comes to black businesses, that I will say is, when you have a black celebrity business, a lot of times those businesses are not in partnership with someone in the community or someone who is an expert or is certified in that particular industry. You know, a lot of these celebrity restaurants, we don't know the chef. We don't know the chef's specialty. We don't know the history behind the restaurant. A lot of these restaurants really got started off of reality TV. A lot of these reality TV people have restaurants and boutiques. They all have the same businesses, you know? And so I think that it's really difficult to kind of like call these type of businesses out, like the ones in Atlanta, for instance, because all of those owners, you know, except for like 2 Chainz, but he's still a rapper, but like a lot of the reality TV show people, they have restaurants. And when you put those two together, you have to remember that majority of the scenes that happen on reality TV are at restaurants and at bars and at people's houses or their TV show houses or whatever, like, you know. But for the most part, when people are going to a scene, they're going to a restaurant. So it's kind of like hard to dissect the Atlanta scene, I think, for me, because I'm not from there. I don't live there. I've only visited Atlanta, and obviously I have only gone to the very hype places, but I haven't like done that more than once, and I didn't necessarily have bad experiences. But I can speak for LA, where so many of our restaurants are either popular or they're owned by someone, or you know, and they get popular because of reality TV. So it's kind of hard to say, but what I will say is that reality TV show people that, or celebrities in general that are going into businesses, they should be partnering with chefs. They should be partnering with prior business owners, you know, restaurants and families that have been staples in the community. It's so many times the wealthy Black people are gentrifying their own neighborhoods, and they're still not providing the right type of economical, I think, standard that could really shift a culture like Atlanta. I think that focusing on, if you have a hair salon, the stylist should be the popular person, not the person that owns it. You know, when you look at a lot of businesses 20 years ago, a lot of the ones that are staples in not even just our community, in white communities and Asian communities, whatever, a lot of the hair salon, the hairstylist is the popular person, not the person who invested in it, not the person who owns it. So even like, I think Kenya Moore is starting a hair salon, and it's like, as beautiful as that is, I want to know who are the stylists. I want to know what is their background. I know that Kenya has long hair, but who are the people that are going to be working in here? Kenya's not going to be doing your hair. So people are going to go to the salon because Kenya owns it, but that puts so much more pressure on your business, because now your stylist cannot make any mistakes and they have to be perfect. And I'm just curious how many of these businesses or these celebrities and these reality TV show people, how much are they really invested in the hiring process, and how invested are they working with people who are 100 times more knowledgeable than them in the industry? I think that the beauty industry is very difficult, as I am in the beauty industry, and it's like, it's very difficult for Black women, and I just personally want to see more Black women partner together, wealthy Black women, women who have the money to invest. I want to see them partner with the girls and the people who have had these businesses and who are going through funding processes, and people who actually have what it takes. I'll use the real BB Judy, for instance, right? She became a millionaire, but she's one of the few women, Black women in the beauty industry that was an actual stylist. Like, when you really put into perspective, we have Taraji P. Henson, we have Tracy Ellis Ross, we have Gabrielle Union, we have Miel Organics. I don't know what Miel did before she created that brand, but we have all of these different Black-owned beauty products, but majority of them were not technicians. Majority of them are not certified in any science. They're not chemists. They've never done anyone's hair. And so I just think that that is a very big missing piece. And I think that when you start mixing these ideas of Black business and culture and celebrity, I don't know what good it's going to do for more celebrities to have these businesses where they're not hiring other experts. I think it's really, really demeaning when somebody with the money or the resources, when you go into owning a business to make everyone beneath you an employee. I don't think everyone should be at an employee level. You know, if you are a reality TV show person and you want to open a salon like Kenya, I would hope that she has a partner in the business who has over 10, 15 years of experience doing hair. I hope that she has people at the executive level, at the manager level, who have conducted multiple hair workshops, you know, who have really worked in the industry. Because if you're just gonna hire a bunch of people fresh out of school or a bunch of people off of Instagram, I just don't know how that's going to really work, because a lot of businesses do not succeed thinking that they're just gonna hire every Instagram hairstylist that they see with over 20,000 followers. Like, sometimes that doesn't work. But I will say that a lot of these celebrities are smart when it comes to owning these businesses, because they can make a new reality show out of their business. So all of the reality show stars that have restaurants and hair salons, eventually, if they are thinking about a bag, they will just make a Vanderpump Rules version of their business and just make their business the show, like Candy did with Candy and the Gang. So the last thing that I really want to say on the whole black business thing, because I'm going to actually do a series, or like I'm going to do an episode where I'm just going to talk about like the state of black businesses, and specifically in the beauty industry. I want to talk about that because I have a lot of research on that I've done for school and over the years. And so I'm putting together something like that where I'll go a lot more in depth when I talk about the state of black business culture and celebrities and gentrification and the issues with racism in the beauty industry. So I'll talk about that in another video. But so I pretty much want to close out with the Keith Lee situation. But I do want to invite you guys to my website, nakedgoldonline.com, where you can find different articles and blogs about different things that are going on. A lot of the topics that I talk about in these videos, I also write about them in case you are a reader or you have research that you need to do for whatever reason. Feel free to go through that. I have some new articles on the website right now. One is for Megan Thee Stallion's new video, Cobra. I talk about the symbolism and just her lyrics, and I kind of do like a reaction piece to that. And then I have another article that is out right now where I talk about the cycle of violence against black women in the entertainment industry. And so I pretty much just do like a 2023 synopsis of what has unfortunately been happening in the entertainment industry in regards to the different abuse cases and the common, how frequent it is, and just the history and just different sentiments that I wanted to talk about pretty much on those topics. And if you go to my homepage, nakedgoldonline.com, you'll see that there are new products in the shop. So when you go to the website, go to the salon page, and that is my shop page. And that is where you can find the different items that I sell. I'm currently selling press-on nail products. They are handmade. I make them myself. These are not China made. I make them, and so they are one of one. Most of the sets are only one of one, and but some of the sets also come in different sizes. I also ship globally. If you are in the US or if you are in Ghana, I also ship locally. So make sure you go to the website, nakedgoldonline.com/salon for the shop, /Griot for videos like this one, and /archives for editorial posts, articles, and blogs. So make sure you look into that, and make sure you stay tuned for my next video. So like, subscribe, share, and whatever else you want to do. But make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube, as well as subscribe to my newsletter on my website. If you are planning to come to Ghana or whatever the case may be, and you're looking for some resources, definitely reach out to me. Thanks for tuning in.